we will discuss about vitamin D and rickets. So, a few things before we start the lecture. I want to tell you about the vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, although it is labeled as vitamin, but due to its production in our skin and conversion by our liver and kidney, it is act mostly like a hormone. Okay, so vitamin D can be synthesized in our body, and what are the dietary sources from where we can get this vitamin D? Vitamin D is found in abundance in fish liver oil, in egg yolk, and in some plant. There are two forms of vitamin D, D3 and D2. Okay, so vitamin D3 is known as cholecalcidiol and vitamin D2 is known as ergocalcidiol. Vitamin D2 is found in the plants, while vitamin D3 is synthesized in our skin, and it is also found in the animal sources of vitamin D. So, what are the physiological effects of vitamin D? Vitamin D increases intestinal calcium absorption, and this intestinal calcium is absorbed from vitamin D is absorbed from the duodenum by the active transport, and it is transported to the liver with the help of chylomicrons. Okay, so site of absorption for vitamin D is duodenum. So we can also see vitamin D deficiency in malnourished patient. Now, what is other role vitamin D plays is this vitamin D increases phosphate absorption, and this mediates bone formation and bone resorption. Vitamin D acts as feedback inhibition for parathormone, and 125 hydroxy vitamin D3 inhibits its own synthesis and increases the synthesis of inactive metabolites. Now this picture here shows how does vitamin D is synthesized or converted. Okay, with the help of ultraviolet B radiation, and ultraviolet B radiation, the 7-dehydrocholesterol is converted into the vitamin D. Okay, now this vitamin D in the goes to the liver, and by the help of enzyme 25 hydroxylase it is converted into the 25 hydroxy vitamin D. Now this 25 hydroxy vitamin D inside the kidneys with the help of 1-alpha hydroxylase is converted into the 125 dihydroxy vitamin D. This 125 dihydroxy vitamin D synthesis is stimulated by parathormone and low phosphorus levels and inhibited by the fibroblast growth factor 23. Now this 125 dihydroxy vitamin D inhibit the secretion of parathormone, as well as it decreases the conversion of 25 hydroxy vitamin D into 125 dihydroxy vitamin D, as well as this 125 dihydroxy vitamin D stimulate osteoblast inside the bones and increases the bone mineral deposition in the bone, and due to this increase in osteoblast we can find increased alkaline phosphatase whenever the osteoblast activity is increased. So this increases mineralization inside the bone, it increases calcium and phosphate resorption from the kidneys, and in intestine this increases calcium and phosphate absorption. Now another important thing is what are the laboratory parameters to label vitamin D as insufficient or sufficient. So if level of vitamin D3 is less than 25 hydroxy vitamin D3 is less than 12 nanogram per milliliter or less than 30 nanomole per liter, then it is labeled as deficient. These two units are given because different labs report in different units, so you need to know both units. Most commonly it is nanogram per ml, but some reports in nanomole per liter also. So if it is less than 12 nanogram per ml, then it is deficient, and if it is more than 20 nanogram per ml or 50 nanomole per liter, then it is sufficient. In between 12 to 20 nanogram per ml or 30 to 50 nanomole per liter is insufficient level of vitamin D. Now, vitamin D deficiency causes rickets. So what are the clinical features of rickets? First one is craniotaps, which is softening of the cranial bones or skull bones. Okay, another is rachitic rosary, which is seen at the costochondral junction, and rachitic rosary is different from the scorbutic rosary because in this the beads which are seen are not that tender, as well as the angulation is not acute in the rachitic rosary. Because in rickets there is widening. The widening is because in bones there are two prime components. One is osteoid, which is collagen, and another is minerals, which is calcium phosphate or hydroxyapatite. So in rickets there is no defect in collagen formation, but defect in the bone mineralization. So the rosaries are more wide in the rickets, but in scurvy there is defect in collagen formation. So angle of this rosary formation in scurvy is acute in the scurvy. Wrist and ankle widening is seen because of growth plate enlargement and due to the defective mineralization of the growth plate. Now Harrison groove or sulcus, this is a horizontal depression along the lower anterior chest, and it is due to pulling of soft ribs because of defective mineralization by the diaphragm during inspiration. Now this picture shows protruding forehead and large head can be seen in rickets. Humerus is curved, chest is pigeon shaped, ribs are depressed, wrist enlargement due to the epiphyseal widening at wrist, kyphosis is there. Now bowing of the femur and tibia fibula can also be seen, or knocked legs can be seen, protruding abdomen can be seen, and patient will be listless or lethargic. In this picture here we can see widening of the wrist, this and this, and in this picture these are rachitic rosary, more wide, and these are non-tender on the palpation. Now these two pictures show, this one is knocked knee, also known as genu valgum, and this is bowing of leg, known as genu varus deformity. Now what are the radiographic changes we've seen in the X-ray of rickets? The characteristic changes can be seen at the growth plates, and thickening of the growth plate is due to decreased calcium deposition or calcification. Now fraying is called when edge of the metaphysis loses its sharp border, and cupping, the edge of metaphysis changes from convex or flat surface to the more concave surface, and this is easily seen in distal ends of the radius, ulna and fibula. widening of distal end of metaphysis corresponding to the clinical observation of thickened wrist and ankle, as well as rhakitic rosary can be seen, coarse trabeculation of the diaphysis and generalized rarefaction. In this picture of wrist, here is a normal x-ray and here is a x-ray of a child with rickets. Here we can see the epiphysis is concave and in this more flat, but in this cupping is clearly visible. This is cupping, concavity of the epiphyseal and metaphyseal end of the bone. Also here we can see the metaphysis is ending in a sharp border, but here this sharp border is not well defined, which is known as fraying. Okay, and here we can also see the density of the bone is more luminescent, while here we can see rarefaction of the bone. Also the widening of this metaphyseal growth plate is here in this picture. This is x-ray of knee joint. Okay, here this is malalignment due to bowing of the legs, and also this is actually x-ray after starting treatment. Here we can clearly see white line at the metaphyseal growth plate, but fraying is here. Okay, now how will we treat? Before telling the treatment, we can divide different type of rickets. First one is nutritional, due to nutritional deficiency. In this there is deficit of vitamin D. Generally this is due to the vitamin D is seen due to the malnutrition. Okay, so breast milk is also deficient in the vitamin D. So if we do not fortify the breast milk in infant, if we do not give supplement of vitamin D in infant and his diet is complete, is only consisting of breast milk and no other fortified cereal or any other thing, then we will see deficiency. So there are recommendation of supplementing vitamin D to every infant, to overcome this deficiency of vitamin D in breast milk. Now another important thing about vitamin D is that unit 1 microgram of vitamin D is equivalent to the 40 international unit, or 10 microgram is equivalent to the 400 international unit. This is very important. Due to you find out that in many vitamin D preparation, the doses or unit is written in the microgram. So always remember this conversion, that 1 microgram of vitamin D3 is equivalent to the 40 international unit. So in nutritional vitamin D deficiency, we can go for treating the patient with vitamin D supplement, but sometimes we see that even after supplementing vitamin D and calcium, the rickets does not resolve, or there is no improvement in the patient. Another important thing, when we see a child with rickets who has not been given supplemental vitamin D yet. In his X-ray, we will not find this white line of Frankel. But when we start supplementing the vitamin D, this line appear around 4 to 6 weeks of therapy. So to see if mineralization has been started or not, we can repeat X-ray after 6 weeks and see for the appearance of the white line. Okay. Now if we see laboratory parameter in nutritional deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, then we can find out that there is normal to decrease calcium in serum, decrease phosphate, but increase in parathormone and decrease 25 hydroxy D3, which is generally less than 12 nanogram per ml, and 125 hydroxy dihydroxy vitamin D3 level can be normal or increase. This is due to the increase in its synthesis due to increased parathormone level, and this will leads to the increased osteoblast activity, which leads to the increased alkaline phosphatase. So in vitamin D nutritional deficiency, the blood picture will be of increased parathormone, decreased phosphate, decreased calcium, increased alkaline phosphatase, and decreased 25 hydroxy vitamin D. Okay, but if patient does not respond to the vitamin D therapy, then we have to look for the causes of refractory rickets. In causes of refractory rickets, one is vitamin D dependent rickets, another is due to familial hypophosphatemia, or due to chronic kidney disease, or due to metaphyseal dysplasia. So in vitamin D dependent rickets, there are two types of vitamin D dependent rickets. First one is type 1, another is type 2. In type 1, there is defect in 1-alpha hydroxylase in the kidney. The deficiency of 1-alpha hydroxylase leads to the reduced level of 125 dihydroxy vitamin D3. So in laboratory parameter, we will see decreased 125 dihydroxy vitamin D3, while increased alkaline phosphatase, there will be low phosphorus or phosphate level and increased parathormone level. We treat this by giving high concentration or high amount of vitamin D, which is usually around 0.25 microgram per day. We have to give this for long time. Now in type 2 of vitamin D dependent rickets, there is defect in the there is end organ resistance in 125 dihydroxy vitamin D3. Due to this, we will in laboratory reports, we will find that 125 dihydroxy vitamin D3 level is excessively high. Okay, will be excessively high. So these two type of vitamin D dependent rickets are generally autosomal recessive in the character in the okay. And another thing, what we find, extremely elevated level of 125 dihydroxy vitamin D3, as also most of the patient of this type 2 of rickets presents with alopecia, almost around 50 to 70% patient, or they can present with alopecia areata, and some patient can be present as alopecia totalis also. In this, treatment is given with extremely high dose of vitamin D or calcitriol. The dose of vitamin D is usually we start by 2 microgram per day, and some patients require around 50 to 60 microgram per day. Now in patient with chronic kidney disease, there is diminished production of 125 dihydroxyvitamin D3 due to the decrease 1-alpha hydroxylase synthesis in the kidney. And in CKD, we also find that there is a very high level of phosphate in the serum due to its decreased excretion. So we have to give supplemental vitamin D3 in patient with chronic kidney disease. In familial hypophosphatemic rickets, there is FAX gene or phosphate regulating gene. This produces endopeptidase, and this enzyme leads to the degradation of fibroblast growth factor 23. But due to deficiency of this enzyme, fibroblast growth factor 23 levels are high, and which leads to the renal loss of phosphate. So also fibroblast growth factor 23 inhibits the synthesis of 125 dihydroxyvitamin D3 due to it decreased activity of 1-alpha hydroxylase. So in these patients, we will see there is serum calcium is normal, but phosphate is low, serum alkaline phosphatase is raised, and if parath hormones are normal, and if we are able to do fibroblast growth factor 23 level, it will be extremely high. So how will we treat? We have to supplement phosphate around 30 to 50 milligram per kg per day to overcome this type of rickets. Now treatment of nutritional vitamin D. Here are recommendation by Indian Academy of Pediatrics for normal supplementation as well as treatment of vitamin D deficiency. In premature neonate, in infant up to the 1 years of age, the recommended daily allowance is 400 international unit per day, but for treatment it is 1000 and 2000 international unit, 1000 for preterm, 2000 for term, and up to the 1 years of age. And we have to give minimum for 3 months. So vitamin D stores are refilled inside the body, and dose from 1 year to 18 year, the RD is 600 international unit, and dose for therapy is 3000 to 6000 international unit per day. Now high doses, single high dose or STOS therapy is now not recommended. Okay, but how will we give STOS therapy? We give 3 lakh to 6 lakh international unit of vitamin D oral or IM as 2 to 4 doses over 1 day. Now this therapy is not recommended at present case. Okay, so this will sum up our lecture on rickets and vitamin D deficiency. Thank you.